Because how many horses get to say, I felt unloved, I felt terror, I felt panic, all those things. And for a human being to be like, I hear you. And there's times where it just depends on the horse and the emotion and whatever. Everyone's different. But there's times where a horse, it's such a heavy memory and such a heavy trauma that they need to release through me. And so I will start crying until that is released, and then I'm fine. And it's really just their emotion coming through me, and I'm just releasing the energy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Reinforce the Horse. Today I'm here with Katherine Griffin, and Katherine attended UC Davis for pre-vet medicine out of high school, but chose a different path for running a therapeutic riding program for 6 years. Since 2018, she has been studying energy medicine and is now a certified functional alignment specialist in the Tucker Biokinetic Technique, an emotion code practitioner, and a Masterson Method practitioner. She just returned back to college as a pre-veterinary medicine student at Southern Oregon University and is looking forward to combining her knowledge of Eastern and Western medicine when she begins practicing with her DVM. Hello, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you. I'm so grateful that you're here. So I just read off your bio. Tell me a little bit more about yourself and how your journey with horses ultimately began.
How it began is really, really cute. It's beautiful. There was a wave of energy that kind of happened in 2012 to help the consciousness, the evolution of the collective consciousness and stuff. And I did not know that or any of those words at the time. I just was a high school student doing my thing. And I started feeling really different from the friend group I had. And I had excellent grades. I mean, that was something I knew. That was just kind of my staple thing is I never got a B. I had great grades and stuff like that. And my goal was to go to a UC. And I, at the time, originally actually thought that I was going to go to UCLA to become a dermatologist. And that actually stems from when I was even younger. I had really bad acne, and there was a huge shift of I took this really harsh drug called Accutane, and it cleared up my acne, and I saw how different my life was. And I thought, that's really sad that just on the way someone looks, they're treated completely different. And I was like, I want to give everyone that power. I want everyone to have the power to look how they want to. And so, I mean, that was part of it and stuff. But then I really actually think the article was from a Cosmopolitan magazine. And I don't read any magazines. That was so funny. But there was a column, an article that said, "Are you happy?" And I'm 17 years old, and I was taking the quiz, and I was like, no, I'm not happy. And I was like, well, what are the things that you're doing right now that, are supposed to be making you happy? And a few of the things, one of the things was getting straight A's. And then there was just a couple other things that were pleasing other people. The vice principal of the high school or something like that, oh, well, this looks good and stuff like that. But it was okay, I started realizing but what makes me happy? Why am I striving for straight A's? So why has this been ingrained in me? It was just really strange. And I ended up just being no, none of this stuff is really for me. It's kind of I was told that this is right, and so I do it. So taking the quiz, one of the things was, well, write down what used to make you happy when you were young. when you're young and innocent and you don't even know the word, you don't have any limits. You don't even know the word no to your dreams. Like, you literally have everything. You can be anything. And of course, the first thing I wrote down was horses. And my whole life, we had been exposed to them a little bit. Like, me and my family, we'd go on vacation and like once a year and do, the horses already tacked up, and we'd do a trail ride or something like that. And I loved it. I think one time the message really clicked was, I was young. I don't know. I'm bad with remembering the ages, but like somewhere from like 6 to 10. I don't know. But we were pulling into a place in California where you could do trail rides, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up. Like, and I get car sick, and so like it seemed kind of reasonable. And I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up, and I didn't tell anybody because I was like, this is a weird feeling. Like, what is this? And then I realized it was like these insane butterflies of just like, this is what you love. I was like, oh my gosh. So at a very young age, I realized there's some, like, oh my gosh. And so I got as much exposure to them as I could, but that was not a lot, just growing up. And then when I did that magazine article, I was like, okay, I'll find a way to be around horses. And my parents always told me, we don't have the money for a horse, and we don't have a place to put them. Like, a horse is just, we can maybe do trail riding once a year, but like, it's just not going to happen for us. And so I was like, okay, well, okay. And I ended up going to a barn in Sacramento where the nonprofit they ran there was helping at-risk youth. And so it was put in this kind of like interesting area where you would not expect a horse ranch to be. And I started volunteering there, and I just started, everything. It didn't matter. Obviously doing stalls was like the first thing because I didn't know anything. And I remember even cleaning the stall in my Converse because I didn't even have boots yet. And like, feeling proud of the horse poop on my Converse. Like, it didn't matter. And like, I actually thought of this recently too, but like my first pair of boots, just to kind of get myself started, it was a pair from Target that just looked like riding boots. And, a woman even one day, she was like, I love your boots. And I was like, really? It's like $20 at Target, but thank you so much. Yeah, eventually I did end up getting real cowgirl shoes. So let's see, I was getting a little off track there, but yeah, started volunteering, doing stalls. I remember my first day there, I ended up helping the owner. Her name's Tiffany Areglia, and it's Craigmont Equestrian in Sacramento. And so I'm so thankful for that organization and her, just to give a little shout out. But we ended up doctoring a donkey, and I just had all the questions in the world. And it was just like an instant fascination. And it wasn't even a fascination of like, wow, I'm interested in this. I really feel like it was more, it was my heart and my soul. There's not the language of the brain. I didn't know what I was doing until I was doing it, pretty much. It was like 4 years later, I look back and I'm like, whoa, my soul had every moment planned. Like, this is crazy. So it just, started just volunteering there every single day. Horses became part of my everyday. Still didn't know anything about handling or tacking up or anything like that. Just cleaning and being around them. And then a trainer came to the ranch, and I kind of just started watching him, and I'd watch other people ride, and I'd be cleaning my stall, and I'd be kind of just like looking at them, kind of mimicking the movements of the rider, and like, okay, that's how you do that, and balance there, and okay, this posting thing. And so I was, doing that and stuff. And one of the main pens that I cleaned originally had 3 horses in it. And 2 of them were babies. One was older, not the mom, but older. The older one ended up being put down. The other baby went to, I think, to where it was born. I went back to the original owner. And so there was one young horse still, one filly, still there. And that girl, oh my goodness. So the trainer came. I have this baby horse here. I ask if it's okay if I take lessons just because I'd like to learn some horsemanship. And start taking lessons, put a lot of money, a lot of time. I loved her. I mean, the love was already at full capacity. I mean, it's always growing.
What is her name?
Lainey. She's so great. She's so great. She, she's amazing. So that was my girl who, you name the horses after, like when you do their registered name, you name the horse after, the sire, you add part of their name in there. And her daddy was an original copy. And so I turned her name into an original answered prayer because she was my prayer that got answered. And then, we'd started our journey, and I actually asked Tiffany, the owner, I said, hey, I'm taking a lot of lessons. I'm really invested in this horse. What are your plans with her? And it's so cute. She's like, oh, I thought I would just give her to you. And I was bawling. I mean, I was bawling. Like, I remember I was next to a giant dumpster. I'm on the phone and I'm crying. And she's like, I'm like, thank you. You just changed my life. Like, you have no idea. And then she's like, that's so great. I'm at Starbucks. I gotta go. And I tell her all the time still, like, I'll just be like, you changed my life. Like, you have no idea how much you changed my life. So yeah, Lainey was my original answered prayer. And that is when I started interning with veterinarians and learning about, just deep diving into the horse world.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went from wanting to go to UCLA to become a dermatologist to I'm going to UC Davis to become a veterinarian. And it was just like, it's like that shift in the soul. And I think a theme of my life, which I've come to kind of understand and beginning to really appreciate because it is difficult, but just the contrast in my life of that path is, we can just kind of lightly use like Western and Eastern medicine, right? Like very different belief systems there. And my life has very much been like a pendulum of like, let's see the opposite of this. And then let's go here. And then let's find our balance. So it really doesn't surprise me that I recently got the call to become a veterinarian again.
Well, congratulations. That's really incredible.
Thank you.
I'm just curious. You mentioned doctoring a donkey back at this organization you were volunteering at. Was that like the catalyst to you wanting to become a veterinarian? Was this like what started it for you? What lit the soul?
I just think my soul's been doing a lot more than I ever knew from day one. Because, yes, when I was doctoring that donkey, really, having these questions just pop out just so naturally and like not, detailed questions where it was like, I need to know more. But when I go even further back, when I was really little, I don't know, it's so cute. I used to line up stuffed animals on the stairwell and I would talk to them and I would teach them. And I think that was where obviously the animal communication was trying to show up for me for the work I do now. But yeah, I think
Are you an animal communicator as well?
Yeah, I do a bit. I don't really get a live stream, and I actually receive so much information energetically and psychically in ways that I don't need the live stream. I don't
Wow. Well,
I don't
I
need
am
it.
curious to hear more about the energy work that you do with animals. Is this a business of yours that you've started?
Yeah, yeah, it's a growing business. I I work on all animals, and I do work on some here. I'm in the Southern Oregon Valley, and so I work on horses or dogs or cats. Those are my main species that I work on. Um, but that's in the valley. And then with energy work, you may know that you can do it remotely. So I can work on clients in different states and still see results, and it's really cool.
So what started this energy work for you? Like what was the catalyst to beginning this as your profession?
Yeah. What was it? I mean, my own healing. I had people say dark night of the soul. I haven't quite grabbed onto that label and like stuck it with anything, but I can definitely say that there was times where I kind of like in quotation marks like lost everything. Like life just kind of came to a shamble. Actually I was So just to kind of get you a little caught up is I left UC Davis about my junior year. And so I had a few more years to graduate because I was double majoring and I had a minor as well. And I was working too and stuff. So it was going to take more time. But I ended up leaving there because I just had such a strong call that I needed to continue to run the therapeutic writing program. And I started that my sophomore year in college. And I have to give these women a shout out because I was not able to do what I did without them. But at Davis, I joined Delta Gamma, a sorority. And I really was like, what made me actually go through recruitment was because I was like, wow, I'm like really weird. I need to figure out how to make friends. I think that I need an organization to help me. And I was like, well, I'll just go through recruitment and, I'll probably meet friends from that. And then I found Delta Gamma and their philosophy on philanthropy. I mean, the first woman I was speaking to, she was telling me about a child she had worked with in the Blind Olympics. And we were just bawling. And I mean, from that day on, it was literally like, it's Delta Gamma. And so when I joined and was part of it, and then I began this program, all these women were so enthusiastic about becoming my volunteers. So for, writers I had that had cerebral palsy, it's so helpful, obviously, and like for safety and insurance and everything like that. I was always so safe. But, I lift a child up from her wheelchair and put her on the horse. Luckily, this wonderful student was light, so I was able to do it. I did have a ramp, but that's a whole funny story of like how I ended up not needing a ramp, that I was like, I'm going to build a ramp in 2 weeks, but ended up not needing it, which is hilarious. But these women would come out I was the instructor, and they would lead the horse. Or if they didn't have experience, they, with actual leading, or they could be sidewalkers. So for a child who doesn't have function in their legs, they're right there next to them to help them if they need it. They're their wings. That's what I used to say. So it was just, I had, 150 women or more just completely backing that. And just, it was my dream with the therapeutic writing, but I made dreams come true of children's. And I still think of it as like, I'm honored and I'm blessed that I got to be a part of that. I don't really, it's like hard for me to even kind of like, be like, oh, I did that. Cause it's like, no, that was a team. And like those children blessed me. Like on those bad days, I could wake up and be like, I have a lesson today. It's going to be awesome. Let's go. It was beautiful. Just so beautiful.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Thank
Did the
you.
horses enjoy it as well? Like, what was their energy surround? I'm just curious. Tell me about them.
Yes. So when in the beginning, I leased horses, or kind of like they were on the ranch that I was at in the beginning, Tiffany's horses actually, and I started just kind of leasing them, and we, and the horses loved just being carried on. But as the program got bigger, I was actually donated 2 Tennessee Walkers, and then I had a cutting horse who was a powerhouse in the show pen, but such a beautiful heart and soul that he was an incredible therapeutic riding horse. Like, just incredible, like amazing. And I had a draft. His name was Billy, and I swear that horse took like an oath when he came to this planet and was like, I will protect every person that comes around. He's the sweetest horse. I mean, and he's giant. He's a big, giant guy. And that horse, I could have given a lead rope to like a 3-year-old, and he would have been like, I will protect this child. It's crazy. It was in one of your podcasts even, you guys were talking about how, it might have been Ruby Doss, but she mentioned how if a horse didn't feel safe, like if it didn't feel like its rider was safe, then it wouldn't go into the lope or something like that. And there was a time where I had a rider on Billy, and you do your girth like 3 times in therapeutic riding. You always want to make sure that, you keep it tight as they start to move out and stuff like that. And there was a time where I ended up just doing a clove tie on it instead of like actually putting it in the hole. And that does feel a little different in the saddle. I've noticed that myself. And my rider, and I believe a lot of children with special needs are so in touch with the spiritual realm and are so energetically sensitive as well. And I think that's why I did really well, is because I understood it. Like, it felt so comfortable and so natural for me. But we were doing a trail ride, and I noticed Billy was not wanting to jog. And I'm like, he doesn't think my rider's safe. And so I was actually on a horse, and I had an assistant, because it was cute to do like a little trail ride, so my student could get that social interaction of like us riding horses together. So I actually got off of my horse, and like while the assistant instructor was just doing her thing, and I fixed it. And my rider he even said, he doesn't quite know these terms, but he even said like, oh, not the clove tie. I mean, like, they were literally communicating Billy and him and me knowing and everything. Like, it was so cool. So I had great horses who protected the children, and I feel like it was just meant to be. But I know we got on that conversation a bit because we were talking about like, how did I get into energy medicine? And it just, as the universe does, that chapter of my life was closing. And that was really heartbreaking, because a lot of people, I think, kind of have this idea of like, you only have one calling in your life. And I think my soul came here with like, I'm going to have all the callings. And I'm like, I'm a human. This is difficult. Like, come on.
I love this so much. This is great.
I mean, I gotta appreciate my soul. I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, she likes a wild ride, that's for sure.
That's fantastic. Just out of random curiosity, do you know what your zodiac sign is?
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius.
Ah, me too.
You are? Yay! When's your birthday?
December 16th.
Nice. I'm November 28th.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So
Well,
cool.
I get you a little bit. I feel
Yay.
you.
Yeah, no, that's so funny. I love that.
The
Yeah, I got.
adventure.
Is your birthstone the citrine too?
I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure what my birthstone is. I think it's different for December, but
Yeah, I'm wondering if it is, but I got a ring with my birthstone on right now, and I just love
oh,
it.
that's cool.
There's like citrine,
So
there's
tell me
coconut.
more about this calling, this
Yeah,
other calling
yeah.
with the
So,
energy work and the horses.
um, you guys talk about a lot of cool stuff, so I'm gonna try to speak a little freely, and it's definitely not
Thank
things
you.
I'd say in normal life. You can't tell everyone this stuff, but it was a really natural process of what I would call spiritual awakening. And like, I literally went from a person who was like, what's organic? Like, that's silly. Like, what even matters? To like, wow, if I eat something that's not organic, I can feel the inflammation in my spine immediately. Like, it was day and night, you know? Like, and that's the contrast of my life that I'm thankful for, because I feel like, I have a different perspective than people who are just raised like organic, is healthy and blah, 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 and all the good, it's better for the earth and all that. I have both. So I think that's kind of a cool part of it. It definitely is not the easy route. It definitely was not. There was lots of things. I mean, I started just kind of meditating. This is kind of a funny note, but I got a book called, it's The Joy of Tidying Up. And I think the author is Marie Kondo. And it helped me kind of start clearing out my life, of clutter, of things that don't bring me joy, of things that don't serve me. And this is funny. The first thing to go was my fiance. So, so there was a large cleanup going on in my energetic space. And that had a lot of stuff, and that had a lot of a darkness to it and stuff. But it was like, I've never been so sure of something in my life. I mean, I woke up and I just knew, like, you have to go. And then, like, without even, the language, the mind chatter, anything like that, it was like I just knew how to get through crazy stuff, abusive people, hard times, everything like that. So I think my soul just guided me. And for a bit, I turned to religion, and then I found a more authentic path outside of that. But I'm still thankful for that, because it did serve a purpose at a time. And I got to learn more about who I call my spiritual family, which is like Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, and of course Jesus, he's lovely. Saint Joseph even does not get enough credit. I love Saint Joseph. Archangels, Archangel Michael, everybody, all the archangels, that's my team there. And so I'm glad that, religion at least got to me, because I went so in depth in it. You guys even speak about Sadhguru, and I definitely was doing a lot of his stuff, and a lot of his information was so powerful for me, because I mean, I went in depth. I explored. I did everything. I started meditating, Kundalini yoga. I did it every single day for a year and a half. And that, I need to get into it again. That is a powerful, powerful way to transmute energy. I mean, it's so cool. And I really think it was just my soul being, yeehaw, let's go. Like,
It's just so fascinating to listen to this part of your journey. I'm like in awe, but I really do wish Dad was here with us today, because I feel like he could empathize and like feel you a lot. I don't he's mentioned a lot like about his spiritual awakening and what came to him through the inner engineering, Sadhguru's inner engineering, Shambhavi initiation and just like the soul or the spiritual awakening and his entire life changing as a result.
Yeah.
And it's just really quite fascinating to hear this, to hear you talk about this and feel the energy that's connected to it. Like there's so much energy connected.
Gosh. Yeah.
To
No.
this, like,
Yeah.
this powerful, it's also powerful. So how did, as you were realizing this new self, this soul awakening, did the horses accompany you in any way through this process?
Yes.
Tell me more.
I know I keep talking. It's crazy because I'm 30 years old, and when someone asks me, it's funny because you were like, how did you get started into horses and stuff? And I'm like, whoa, that was like 10,000 different versions of me ago, and so it's like there's so much I've had an extremely active life, and I'm in love with it, but it's not easy. Now with the faith I have in just the universe and the benevolent forces that I believe guide us, now I have faith and trust, and I can, chill out and stuff. But still, my life is full of, my soul just like, let's learn all the lessons. And I'm like, that seems excessive. But I'm sorry, can you please, okay, so you said the horses. Oh, and I wanted to give credit to one of my horses about the question you asked earlier. But so my horse's name was Mr., and that was my cutting horse. And so he had gone through 15 years of intense cutting performance showing. He won $40,000 before I was his mommy. And so he taught me how to cut. And then there was a time where he was like, you know how to do it, cowgirl up. And that was really powerful for me. But as far as with the children and him, the fact that he was such an empath, and the fact that he would be the most loved on that he ever could be loved on by doing not hard work, think about it like a horse in training to make money for the show pen, and the damage it can do on their body and everything like that. From going to that to, you jogged for a little bit, and we walked and we went to the pond and we played a game. And to have him just encompassed by a young child's just unconditional love. Oh my gosh. I mean, he was like, this is what love is, because he could offer that kind of love always, but to be able to have people give it to him, and him receive it was totally different. So dang cute. Oh my gosh. But you asked, did the horses play a part in my spiritual awakening? And absolutely. And I don't even know how to go all into that, but one of the most beautiful things that stays with me vividly is, especially on Mr., I could always do it on Billy. I could actually do it on my girls too. But Mr. was kind of my guy. He was kind of my guy at the time. I loved all of them equally, but there was something that was just like, hey, I've seen you in a couple lives before. You can just feel it, you've been mine before. I've been your mom before, however it is. And that's with some of my other horses too. But Mr. was just my boy at the time there. But something that was huge was I was able to start communicating with my horses on such a different level. And I was actually aware of it now. There's times someone was like, you telepathically communicate with horses, right? And I was like, I mean, that makes sense, but no, I didn't know that. And they're like, you do. And I'm like, cool. And I didn't know what to do with that. I was like, whatever. And with them, I would, Mr., we'd go into an orchard and full blast gallop and just reins on his neck and just, hey, baby, go as fast as you can. And I knew I was safe. I had 100%, 3 billion%, I was safe. And he knew he was safe. And I knew that if he needed to listen to the tiniest, I don't even like to say pressure, but just like subtle hint from one of my feet of like, oh, let's go a little this way to avoid this tree, he knew it. He knew it if I used my foot, or he knew it if I just thought it. It didn't matter. And one of the most profound things was in our last cutting season, because I pretty much didn't cut when I was doing the therapeutic riding program. I'd go and I'd practice and stuff, but I didn't get too much in the show season then. But at age 19, he was able to still finish our last cutting season. And he made all my dreams come true. I ended up placing. I got some like beautiful double stitched reins and stuff like that. I mean, he made my dreams come true. And this is so silly, but we didn't practice at all. I would just show up to the shows. This is so bad. Because there was people who worked so hard, and I'm very proud of them, and I honor them too. But I would ride him bareback around a field, and I'd get on with no shoes. I usually, if it's warm, I'd ride in shorts, and I get horsehair stuck all over my legs and stuff. And bridleless, I did so much bridleless. I mean, I would have never thought that I'd feel 100%. It's like, I kind of want to say in control, but it has nothing to do with control. Like,
just have such a deep connection with them that you're just there. Like they're a family. They're no longer they're not a vehicle. They're a family. They're a friend. They're
precisely.
I get you. Yeah.
Precisely. So in our last season, when I had first started showing, the trainers I worked with were like, oh, you need spurs, you need this, you gotta blah, 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 blah. And it's so cute because in our last season, I like showed up and I was wearing like muck boots to our show. And I was like, ooh, I forgot to bring boots. Like I literally just like, oops, because I was so used to like riding barefoot even. And so, no spurs or anything like that. Didn't need spurs. And we were incredible. 100%, we were connected with a divine force guiding us. And we would just like a beautiful dance, no spurs, nothing but love and trust and connection. And that's insane. And I looked like such a weirdo to everyone else. And I was in a class where fortunately you could speak to your horse. It was called a ranch class. So you could correct them if you needed to, because cutting, you're supposed to stay kind of on a straight line and stuff. And so I was in the ranch class and I would talk to him. And I just said, get it, baby. Yeah, baby. Go, mister. Go. Oh. And we'd be doing some cool moves and stuff like that. And I mean, all the cowboys were laughing at me, and they're like, should we talk to you or your horse? And I was just like, whatever, But I mean, we did amazing. I would walk out of the arena and people were like, you have a hell of a horse. And I was like, I know. I'm special.
That's so cool. There's something about like a connection when you have a connection with a special horse or really any horse. Like that connection is so powerful and life-changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure
it stays with you. I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Continue.
I was just gonna say it stays with you after death because I lost him in 2021 and I lost my boy Billy 2019, and that sucks. It's horrible, right?
I'm sorry.
But it helped me. Like when Billy passed away, I mean, I was just wrecked, just crying and crying and crying, and it was a very traumatic situation. I didn't put him down. It was very traumatic, and the coolest thing of it was that his spirit came over to me and would like, I could start crying, but like he would hug me for days after. He'd come give me a hug. Yeah. Like trying not to
That's
cry.
beautiful.
And like right after he died, like when we were still getting his body, he was like, I didn't want to go. I had to go. And it's like, maybe he had that next reincarnation that he needed to do. Like, what, who knows? Or maybe he's been such a good boy, he can finally be completely at rest and never have to deal with people again. I don't know. But to have the connection afterlife is so, it's like, okay, I need that. I need that to keep going. So Mr. does that for me too. And then Lainey, my very first horse, had her own very sacred, unique ways of coming back to me. And just, it's so cool.
Man, that is so beautiful. Like they're so powerful in so many ways. And there was a time that I didn't know such connection with a horse was possible.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a dream, but that's never going to happen kind of thing. And now, I mean, I'm here and I have such a profound connection with my Mustang Willow, and I continue to talk to so many people that have such profound experiences and connections with their horses, and it's like every talk and every connection is so different, but it's also beautiful and divine and
Yes,
special, and these horses just change our lives.
they do. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I don't think I've answered your question yet, but anyways, this is the spiritual awakening happened, and then I just was guided to places where I started learning. The first modality was the emotion code. And then that kind of just took me through a wild process and stuff. But just because you mentioned your baby girl Willow, I have to mention my baby girl Lily. And she's my Mustang. She's 4 years old. She came to me when she was about 5 months old out of the wild. 4 to 5 months old, right out of the wild.
She's
Tiny baby. I mean, I've delivered foals, I've delivered lots of foals and stuff like that, and worked with some yearlings, but as far as owning a actual foal, someone who should still be nursing, honestly, that was brand new. And that was a spiritual experience being called to her. She told me who she was. She told me what number she was. She told me where she was. She told me how it was in the pen. It was insane. I mean, and I don't always do that. I don't always get that kind of messages, but I just know when I'm supposed to be somewhere, they won't get messed up.
Powerful. So was she with her mom when she got grounded?
Or I would have gotten the mommy too, but no. Yeah.
Man, that's wow. So she called you. She told you where she was.
Yeah.
Do you still have her today?
Oh yeah, she's 4 years old. I'm gonna go see her after this.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah, 2019 is when they were gathered around.
Do you know what HMA she's from?
Devil's Garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're excellent. Yeah, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. I mean, she literally, she's the color of magic. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And she was my catalyst for getting into the positive reinforcement. And I feel like I'm able to show up as the kind of mom, and I say mom, and there's actually a Hawaiian word called kahu. Have you heard that?
I haven't.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's hard to find the definition that I love about it, but you're a steward of the animals. You're not an owner. They're not your property. You are of service to them. And that is what I love. Like, I'm here to offer you the best life that I can offer you. So it's beautiful. So I say mom, I'm her mom. But it was all the healing work that I did that allowed me to show up as the mother I am, because I had so many unhealed wounds. I had so many issues. I've gone through so much trauma that I was like, I still don't even realize how much trauma, but I know that I jumped on the healing wagon like nobody's business. And I like fought to find my soul and to find myself. I mean, I think it's just my soul being like, okay, well, Lily's coming here, so you're going to have to go through all of this. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm just healing like crazy. And it was, I mean, it's a conversation for a whole different time, but it was, yeah, started learning about, psychic abilities and how much I feel, how much stuff I can feel, the fact that I can pick up on thoughts sometimes and stuff. And like, when you're just beginning, when you're like a little baby empath or like baby psychic, you're like, oh, I have gifts. This is interesting. And then you learn, oh, I don't need that on all the time. Or like, oh, that's not actually safe for me to do. Or, oh, that's a trauma response. I'm going to go ahead and not live from that. So, I mean, it was just a huge journey of healing. And I feel like I know it all prepared me to be a good mom to Lily. And Mister. I had Mister too while I was going through this as well. Yeah.
Man, it's all so powerful and just beautiful. So Lily, her coming into your life was also a major catalyst to your inner healing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and the positive reinforcement. I mean, I remember just, and Maddie says the same thing, but the first time you put together a target or like get your target or whatever, and you're like, what's this thing? But, and then I just remember like just those first little steps of like, teaching Lily and Mr. too, how to touch the target and stuff like that. And then just where I am now, where like, it's really cool. I mean, I do everything Liberty pretty much.
So cool.
I am waiting until she's 5 or when she tells me. I think Ruby Doss literally said the sentence or like the paragraph that I say, but it was like, I'm waiting for them to tell me. They'll let me know when I can get on. I see, like, as a body worker, I see how she's still going through growth spurts. I see, like, okay, this just happened, and, like, I can't imagine adding my unbalanced weight to it. Like, that's just not fair. And so I don't ride her right now. I have, we have been, like, learning that, like, wherever my body is on her, she's safe. As far as, like, it's funny. I told you I need to do Kundalini yoga again. It's because I can't do the run and jump on her right now because I'm not flexible enough. But a few months ago, I was. And so I was like, okay, Lily, you ready? And she's like, the silly lady, and I'm like, I just start booking it, and then I run up and I jump on her, and I just wait, and I see if I see a threshold, I stop. I reward her when I do. I'm still doing all the correct kinds of training. I'm just maybe a little redneck with just I'm gonna run it up to my horse, plopping myself on her and like. Wiggling up there, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, hold on, you got me, girl, and it's like totally not graceful, but she feels safe with all that, and that makes me feel really proud. Is that she's like, oh, mom's just doing her thing, it's not like how other people may approach a first ride, Oh,
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
We need this. We need to saddle up. We need blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, are you even okay with me with a hand on your back? And like we built up to this. Like, yeah. I mean, I do not take anything that she offers me for granted, because a wild Mustang taken away from her mother and family and herd and environment by people has no reason to trust people. Why would you trust people? Like, I get it, like no worries. But she is only been an encouragement. I mean, she's literally like, go, reach your potential. Because I look at her and she can do anything in the world. She protects me. Like if someone, we did a photo shoot once, and obviously I'm not going back to this photographer, but it was a photographer that I wasn't quite sure if I felt comfortable with, but it was a pretty low fee and I did want to get pictures of me and my kids. Lily realized that he was not a safe person and that was not a safe energy, and she did not want that man by her mom. And so like I was like, yeah, just take pictures of me like just brushing her and stuff, like, it'll be cute. And Lily literally, like, she just turned her butt right to him and was just like, just letting you know. And it's not aggressive. It's just, there's a boundary.
What can I say? They're so in tune with energy, and I find especially the wild ones. And I think it is possible with the domestics. It just takes more it takes more of a it takes more energy to recognize it from the domestics, because some of them are just trained to the point where they're ultimately shut down and it's like everything's okay. The wilds, especially when they come to you out of the wild, they don't have that. Their intuition and their energy is just so heightened, and from even the slightest movement, like that's not a safe situation. We're not doing this, or hey, you're not paying attention to me, or you need to pay attention to this. They're just so intuitive and helpful.
Yeah. I trust her as my guide.
That's so powerful.
Like, I'm a human. I'm going to have my human issues. I'm going to trust her. She's more aligned with the truth. The divine truth is what I think. I know.
I feel that.
Yeah. And it's just, it does. Like, Mr. was he was domestic, but he was very an empath and everything. But there's a lot of, like you said, there's like robots. People the horse learns that it's about the person's agenda. And like, for me, it's really freeing to be like, no, Lily, like you and like this little dog right here, like you guys came here as your own beings to have your own journey. So I really don't like have an agenda, like I'll have goals or something like that. But as far as like, no, I mean, there's so many times where it's like Lily led me to a safer place. Lily told me that people I was with weren't safe. And so I understood when I, as a human, would have been like, well, I don't know. So yeah.
So magical. Like all of this is just resonating so much. I'm like speechless. It's beautiful. And I feel it. Like I feel it. This beautiful connection you have with them. And yeah, it's just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Look what you guys are doing. I love this. I love that you have this space. Like, gosh, it's lovely.
I love listening to other people's journeys with their horses, their animals. It's like it warms my heart to just do that and hopefully bring to light more of this positivity, especially in the horse realm. I know every animal, I mean, even humans need to be largely shown proper love in their life, but animals, I mean, are so largely shut down and it's the human's agenda, like you were saying, and horses, I find especially just because, they're big enough for us to ride them. And so, oh, why don't we just put a saddle on them and ride? Instead, it's like, well, no, they're not a vehicle. They have this energy, they have this wisdom about them that's like so connected to what is just what is.
Yeah.
And I think as humans, until we've been shown a different way, we don't know how to see it like that. We just see them
Yeah.
as, and even those of us that have good intentions toward them, and still have this like need to be in control, if you will.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just so powerful to learn from them. They're definitely the best teachers and the
They are.
wisest instructors.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's up to us to listen. And
Seriously,
the
though.
messages are not always easy. Like, this is pretty cool. So Lily, being a Mustang, I have to watch her weight. I have to work with her metabolism. I've learned so much about that. It's been a cool experience because I'm learning things about how different minerals like copper play a part of metabolism, and like you have to like do all these different things for them. Like you can help a metabolic horse or a horse with those kind of tendencies, obviously with diet and exercise, but like along with that diet, like are they getting the right nutrients? Like I would have never thought someone would need copper for metabolism. Like it's crazy. And like, so I believe we're all really connected, like me and my animals. So I have hypothyroid. So my thyroid kind of doesn't produce enough stuff. So I can gain weight sometimes if if my hormones aren't balanced. And then Lily got hypothyroid. And then Gracie got hypothyroid. And it's just, I was like, oh my gosh. And so I need to go and heal mine deeper. I take natural supplements and they help, but there's more I can do for myself. I know that. I've just been so busy with everything that I haven't, but I need to take that. And with Lily, the blood work didn't show, like Western medicine blood work didn't show anything, but I knew. And then when I did an equine hair mineral analysis test, it was obvious. Like, oh, she's got hypothyroid. And then Gracie was just showing like some weird shedding signs and stuff. And so I took her to the vet, hypothyroid. But getting Gracie on the correct diet with all the vitamins, the minerals, the oils, it's good to have like healthy fats in there and stuff, and raw meat for her. She does not have hypothyroid anymore. Wow. So yeah. And like for me, so I just need to get back to my diet, which is like that is the goal. And then Lily, I have her on the right supplements and her body just completely shifts. And there's even things like so in the emotion code, we learn a lot about how certain emotions can be stored in certain body parts. It's not a rule, but it's a pretty good guideline. So like anger, most commonly in the liver, grief, sadness in the lungs. So we had some really smoky stuff here. We're in a valley too. And it made me so sick. And I went through like a purging part of my spirituality of like purging all the grief and sadness for myself. And it was really difficult. And I used Mullein tea to help me with that and whatnot and stuff. But recently, the lymphatic system came up really big for me and Lily. And people were telling me about a technique called scraping. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I haven't quite, like, what is that? And then I was talking with a mentor and she was like, it's just like gua sha. And I was 3 days into actually doing gua sha for myself, which, do you know what gua sha is? It's like, I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's like I believe an ancient Chinese practice where you pretty much you can take like a rose quartz or a stone, or some people use jade or whatever, and they're made like this. They're kind of like in a V, and you go like this, and really the goal is just to get the blood flow circulating. It helps the lymphatic system. It can help like so much. It's like a beauty thing, but it's also a health thing. So I was like, I'll just do it, right? Like intuition just got me there. So I did the gua sha for like 3 days, and I was like, wow, I really like this. Like it feels so alive to just bring that blood up to the surface and just like have that kind of life force and prana just like brought up there. And so like I'm doing that. The next day I like go and look at Lily, and I can tell that her lymphatic system has drained. Like, I'm like, what? And then I like to look up things like, what is the spiritual meaning of like the lymphatic system? And it said a lot of stuff about like grief and sadness and stuff. And Lily lost her brother, Mister. I mean, she lost an amazing man. And there's and then there's times where when I'm going through rough stuff, she's worried about me. She can feel my grief, and so she's going to feel grief. And it was just, I got her on supplements. I love silver lining stuff. They're good stuff. So I do like the silver lining kidney is working best for her. So that's flowing out the kidneys. I do sometimes put her on the liver so that it's also detoxing that. I use a bentonite mineral clay that helps decrease gut inflammation and detoxifies. And like she was showing like the salivary glands and parotid, some part of her lymphatic system right here. I'm forgetting it right here. But like just doing that, but also doing my own work made her body completely shift where her glands are no longer swollen. It's just wild.
That's fascinating. It just goes to show how truly connected you are with her, and even your dog Gracie. It's like, you can't make this stuff up. It's like one of those, like, it's just so like, it's energy. And I think I think it just goes to show the energy and how even the slightest shifts with one of you that are in this like this family, this herd, affects everyone else. And then how wonderful it is to step in and help the others, help whoever's not feeling so great, just so that the energy, the frequency can continue to raise for the collective of the family, and ultimately whoever you all interact with outside of that. It's beautiful. Such a beautiful connection with them. So on that note, what is your favorite way to reinforce your horse?
I just use organic alfalfa pellets as far as that. Like as far as actual, feeding and stuff. And it depends. Cubes are good sometimes depending on what we're doing. But I have realized that my energy is her highest reinforcer. So like, the times that I have gotten on her, I'm funny, but like I'll get on her and I'm like, yes, that's my click. I say yes is my click. And she knows when mom is stoked, and like there'll be times where if she does something like that, like the first time I got on her, bareback Liberty in the arena, nothing but, hey, are you willing, can we keep each other safe right now? And I'm like, yes, and then I go grab my treats and I come back and I'm like, you're the best host ever. And she loves it when I get all excited, and she knows, I feel like right now the words that are coming to me is that she's pleasing me. She likes to make me happy. Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. That is so beautiful. I could just like envision this like a horse that's like, she's totally trusting, and I could just like I could see the entire thing, and then you just light up and her ears go up and her eyes are like, you said something good. You're just excited, and then you're doing it together, and she gets excited and you get excited. It's just like it's a team effort.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
beautiful. They're like I can feel the connection that you have with her through the screen, and I've like never met either of you prior to. So this is great. Such a beautiful thing. So as we close up, is there anything further that you'd like to share today?
Yeah, I suppose we should actually talk about what I do.
Yeah, let's do that. Sounds wonderful.
um, I will. Okay, so I do 3 different modalities. The first one is called the Tucker Biokinetic Technique, created by Dr. Renee Tucker. This is incredible. She calls it quantum energy work, so it's working with the subatomic particles of the body. Just to give you a little snippet of how incredible it is. And I just did this with an owner that I was working on a horse this weekend, and I just did this with the owner. But I checked the atlas, and some horses atlases will be level, but some of them won't. More than not, they're not usually level. Usually the right side's a little different, like a little bit higher or lower, just because of how we put weight on them and stuff and how they put their weight. But so I touch the atlas, check it out. It's my body checkup. The right side's about half an inch lower, a little bit than half an inch lower. So not level, right? We're like, watch out right there. And I go and I'm just using, it's a 2-hand technique, but I am a conduit of his body's own innate wisdom to heal itself, connecting to that bone or whatever I'm working on. I can work on organs, whatever. I can work on anything. But I did not mean to sound egoic there, but it's like that sounded weird. I'm really sorry.
No, not at all.
So it's connecting pretty much the wisdom that we all have, that we're talking about our horses are more easily connected with and stuff. I'm connecting his innate wisdom to heal his own body back to this area. And so it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but like I have my eyes closed. I do visualize things sometimes. I feel it really easily. I feel it like that's my thing. I can feel it. And I just, sometimes I'll even get stories with it. It's just whatever. And it adjusts. I literally just asked it to, like, legally, I don't even know how much I'm supposed to share, like as far as like, cause I can like accidentally tell you the whole technique and you'd be like, okay, cool. And I'd be like, oops, my bad. But, yeah, and so I had the owner just feel the atlas after, and she's like, oh my gosh. And I like to be able to share something like that with clients because if you're not familiar with energy work, I can understand that, someone with 2 still hands on your horse's or whatever animal's body, you're like, what are you really doing? And so it's nice to see the instant results. And I do with this modality always get instant results. There's been times where it has fixed the problem completely. And then there's been times where it doesn't fix it completely because there's many layers to healing, but it does show quite an improvement to it. And it's amazing. I couldn't own horses without it.
That is wonderful. That sounds like something I want to look into, actually. Sounds really
check it
cool.
out. It's the future of medicine. And she's a veterinarian too. So she created this method because she was pretty sick and tired of seeing the limits of Western medicine.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
And she was like, well, let's find more. Like, I don't want to tell people no. I want to help them. So she created that. And she's fabulous. The emotion code is created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he has created the emotion code, the body code, and the belief code, and very powerful things. And I've used all of those through my own healing too. But I only work on animals. And so I have healers and mentors that I work that help me on my own self. But that is releasing trapped emotions from the body. So like I said, the liver can hold anger or something like that. A good example of just on a human body was when I first moved to Oregon. Like, I didn't have a chiropractor. I didn't have like my team set up or anything like that. And I woke up and I had the worst pain in my neck ever. Like, it was one of those things where I was like, I guess I'm getting old and you wake up with pain now. Like, this sucks. Like, what am I going to do? And so I'm like this, thinking like, okay, what am I going to do? And I was just like, let's just do the emotion code on it. I released like 5 or 6 trapped emotions and the pain was completely gone and never returned.
Wow.
Like that's magic.
Oh, wow. Man, that is powerful. And so that works alongside with the animals too, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I had a beautiful experience with one of the horses I worked with this weekend where I was doing the Tucker Biokinetic Technique, and animals know what modalities I know. They know what I know. And so they'll sometimes, like if someone hires me to do emotion code, I've had the animal be like, well, do the other one now. Do Tucker Biokinetic now. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So it's really cool. They know. So this...
Man, that is cool. I love that they just tell you.
Yeah, it's
pretty so cool.
It's pretty clear. Yeah. But this guy, what a beautiful soul. Very stoic. Doesn't want to, cause any problems. Wants to make sure everyone else is taken care of. Like that kind of guy, just like so dang sweet. And I'm working on him, and he had a very traumatic early years of his life. And then now he's with a wonderful, loving mommy. So he has the difference, And I was going through him, and as soon as I got back to the lumbar, which is kind of where like that root chakra would be, if you're familiar with the root chakras. So like your safety, your sense of security, all that stuff. And I just got there and it wouldn't adjust. And that means there's something more that I need to ask or look into or something. And immediately I was like, this part wants to tell a story. But then I kind of was like, oh, I'm a human, does it? Like, or like, does he want, like, whatever. And I was like, I just muscle tested and I go, do you want me to do the emotion code? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I started doing the emotion code. There was a lot of trapped emotions in that one vertebra. And so I end up releasing those, and I go back to that spot, and it just adjusts, whoppa-chow, so gracefully. Like just, that's all I needed.
Man, this is powerful.
Yeah, I mean, he just, and, throughout his sacrum and his lumbar and stuff, and even on his legs and stuff like that, he just would tell me, here's a story that would be really, he was so sweet. He's been really cool if you'd like to tell this story.
Aww.
Because how many horses get to say, I felt unloved, I felt terror, I felt panic. All those things. And for a human being to be like, I hear you. And there's times where it just depends on the horse and the emotion and whatever. Everyone's different. But there's times where a horse, it's such a heavy memory and such a heavy trauma that they need to release through me. And so I will start crying until that is released. And then I'm fine. And it's really just their emotion coming through me. And I'm just releasing the energy. So there was a point where it was just so beautiful because he had someone to cry for him, on like a story that and I'm so holding back tears, but like he had a really abusive experience with hobbles at a young age. And I was working on his legs. I don't know, for some reason, I just, when she told me the story, I just assumed it was hind legs because I've seen that more often, but I know people do both. But I don't know, I just assumed, but I was on his leg and I just got literally an image of the hobbles. I was like glued to it. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like the hobbles where like, it was just telling me something. And I was like, do they do the hobbles on his back legs? And she goes, no, his front legs. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh my gosh. I was like, I'm getting it so strong here. And it was a new client. It is a new client. And I didn't want to, we're human. So I started almost crying and then I kind of tried to hold it back a little bit. And then I was like, that's not my job. My job's to express his story however he wants his story expressed. And so I was like, okay, give me a second because I tried to stop myself from crying, but I need to cry for him right now. And she was like, okay. And I just sat there and it came and it was so painful and stuff. But like for him to feel like that connection, I'm not alone, someone heard me, like we always feel so, as us, even as, as humans, we feel so good when we're heard, when we're validated, when someone can like hold your hand and be like, I'm with you, I'm right here,
Yes.
And to do that for him was just beautiful. And it was a beautiful, beautiful session.
Wow. Oh, I feel it. I feel it. Wow. Man, that must have been a huge release for him too, and just like so much for him to just let go of and continue living his life without ever having to visit that again.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, totally. And that modality was really powerful for me for humans, like on humans.
Okay.
So it's great for humans. I did it for a year and a half too, every month. I went into a healer and had the emotion code and body code done, and it was life-changing.
Wow.
My life would actually, and I'll keep this short because I want to be able to mention the Masterson Method too.
Yes.
But it's how my soul works. I would go through experiences in my daily life that would trigger me to a very abnormal amount. And I would be like, oh my gosh, I need to blah, blah, blah. And then I started realizing this isn't about the situation right now. This is about, like, one of the examples is I was abused as a child, and so I have a distrust of men a lot of the time. I'm still obviously still like, seems like there's a lot more weird people that I'm aware of too. Kind of innocent where I think people are. I'm like, everyone's nice, everyone's conscious. It's not the truth.
I hear you.
So I had been abused, and so I had this thing about men, and I was working a job working with children with autism. And I know this sounds so paranoid, but it was just part of the journey. I looked up like in the bathroom one day, and it looked like there was a camera in the vent. And that just triggered me so much. I mean, I was so triggered. And so, I brought it up to my supervisor, and I was just so terrified. I really was. I was like terrified. And then later on, I was like, I don't know. This seems like a reaction that's bigger than what happened today. And I ended up going in, and then I had, of course, my emotion code session was scheduled for the next day, as it should be. So I went into the emotion code and I said, this is what happened. And then we ended up just releasing the childhood trauma. And then my experience with that, it was not a camera. It was the fan. The fan turns a light on. It's right. Isn't that crazy? Like,
wow.
And I'm over here like,
well, I mean, triggers are triggers. And I think, I have my own experience with certain triggers at certain times. So I hear where you're going with that, but it's fascinating to just hear about this method that you took to go about healing and working through that, and wow, it's just, and then taking that and working to heal others is just like this. You're such a powerful being. Like, this is such,
Thanks.
I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just, wow. Like, I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
Like, you just,
thank you.
oh man. Yeah,
You're lovely.
I feel you.
No, thank you. I would not do it justice if I didn't talk about the Masterson Method as well.
Please continue.
So the Masterson Method's super cool. You can find so many videos of it on YouTube for free. And actually, I guess that's how I kind of got into the animal healing, because my draft, Billy, who died, Mr. couldn't comprehend that. Like, he did not, even though he saw his body, and like I allowed him to be like, hey, look, our sibling's dead. He was not able to understand that because it was too much. He just checked out. He dissociated. He's like, I can't understand that I lost my most, keep talking, I'll cry, my most beloved one, and like his best friend. And so, his grief, and, you may have gone through very deep grief before, and just felt it, like when you have so much pain, you can only breathe a little bit. Like your heart, like I'll show you because you're on the camera, but like your heart just like, you just breathe just enough to keep yourself alive, but you can't breathe deeper than that because you're just in so much grief and pain, and your body is just filled with that. And, you're just trying to stay alive. You can't get in touch with that right now. It's not safe for you yet. So that he had such a hard time being able to cope. And I was like, I need to find a way to help him. So I ended up finding the Masterson Method. And it's a very easy, simple method to move tension and energy from horses that everyone can do. I mean, you can literally just Google Masterson Method bladder meridian, and it's really cool. And it's created by Jim Masterson. And so he, like in the bladder meridian one, you go up to about their pole. You can start at different parts. If you ever look at a video, you'll understand. But you go to an area, and then you look for that sign from them that you reach to point attention. And usually that's a blink, maybe you'll twitch in the mouth or something. There's different signals that he teaches too. There's also a book about it called Beyond Massage. But you just wait there. And I do pretty much all of that work air gap, which means my hand's not even on the horse. I'm just working with the energy. He has different amounts of pressures called like egg yolk and grape and stuff like that. And it's like, just different amounts of pressure that, if you would actually have your hand on the horse or not. But air gap is really what works the best, I have found, for me and horses, because you're not pushing on their energy in a way that they need to brace against it. You're literally just saying like, hey, maybe there's something up here you'd like to just put some consciousness with. And through that super gentle technique, they release and let go. And I mean, I'll get the biggest yawns ever, huge yawns, multiple yawns, stuff like that. Sometimes they'll fidget. There's so much stuff. And like, you always get results by that.
Wow.
So I started doing that with him. And then that's actually, I guess now I understand it. That's how I started getting into the energy medicine, is because then I found a mentor of the Masterson Method. And then she told me about the Tucker Biokinetic Technique.
Oh, wow. Oh, all of it just came together.
I was like, hold the phone. That's the one I want.
Oh,
Like, I
man.
loved it.
This is wonderful.
So,
So you're
it was,
talking about when you do the Masterson method and you use the air gap technique and but not touching them. Is your hand like where their energetic aura, like are you still in their where their energetic aura would be, or are you even aside from that and just like I guess your energy body is in their energy body?
yeah.
Okay.
That's something tricky about working with animals is being able to stay separate after the work. You have to
Mm.
know a boundary of how much childhood wounds would have allowed me to take on more than is safe for me from energy work. So it's like, that's a great question. And it's really great that you're aware of that. Because you do need to, as a practitioner, you need to know how to work with your energy and how to make sure that if you're an empath, it's just your energy. You need to be able to remove everyone else's stuff. Like, is this just mine? But with the Masterson method, with air gap, I would say I'm a foot or a little bit less than a foot away from their body with my hand.
Okay.
There's some horses, like I worked on some very abused horses where I will do the technique super air gap, but they only release when I like completely leave their auric field.
Oh,
Because I think the
wow.
horse's auric field's like 15 feet or something like that, like 15 to
Okay.
12 or something. And I still work on being able to keep my aura like condensed with me and stuff. It's a practice that I have to do. But yeah. And then there's also some horses where, like, I know a friend who does the technique who the horse was untouchable. And so she just from outside of the stall was able to literally feel the energy. She was like, my hand was like shaking. And I was like, it's crazy stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Energy is so powerful and it's beyond it's beyond what the eyes can see, but it's I mean, we can all feel it even if we're not in tune with it. We have to be able to feel it cuz that's all we are.
Yeah.
And the horses just bring that to light in so many ways. It's God, it's so like I am so grateful right now for this conversation. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing part of your journey with me.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me. And you guys, you and your father are just incredible. And I think it's beautiful the relationship you guys have. The fact that you're kind of I mean, you both have your own past, obviously, but like the fact that you can do this kind of together in pieces is really cool. It's really
Mm,
beautiful. And it's
thank
not
you.
something I see often.
Thank you.
And you're wonderful. And I don't know how old are you?
18. I just turned 18.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And just like being 18 and being this aware and doing your career goals and this professionalism and sharing this with the world and like all of it's like it's astounding. It's incredible.
Mm,
And gosh, yeah, just the fact that you're in touch with that, like, I kind of say gentle nature, but it's also the most powerful, which is pretty interesting. And just like, I don't know, just the fact that you're doing it while like Mother Earth and all of us were going through this transition and stuff. Like you're the little light being that's doing your thing, and I love it. Like it makes me happy. It
oh,
really
thank
does.
you. It's powerful. I'm so grateful to be on this journey. And of course, I think our souls all came here and started what they needed to and experienced what they needed to. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this journey with Dad. I think he's just an incredible being and such a wise individual, and he has taught me so much throughout my life. And even he's in India right now, and I still learn stuff from him almost on a daily. It's just like
Wow.
communication, and so he is truly the reason for this being able to happen. Had he not mentioned the podcast and, helped get it started, it wouldn't be a thing. So really huge thanks to him. And I think we're missing him today. There are so many things you touched on that I think he would have been so overjoyed and just ecstatic to hear and feel your energy today. But he's gonna post produce and just experience that in a different way. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your journey with me and with us. And
Thank you.
is there anything else that you'd like to touch on today?
I think we actually covered a pretty good lengthy amount of my life, which is amazing. Thanks for letting me share so much.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. You are such an incredible person. I'm so grateful for this talk and the connection you share with your animals and all of it. So thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone have a wonderful day. And this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, give your babies a hug from me.
Oh, definitely. Likewise. Please do the same.
I will. Lily will be very thankful that she was on a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Willow will be grateful to just feel. I have this theory that the horses especially they're energetically here. I mean, they're right outside, but they have hearing that's magnificent, but they're energetically here just listening in, and they know this is a huge part of my journey, and I believe that they just intuitively connect with all of our guests. And Willow will paint a picture. She paints a picture for every guest, and it's every time she paints a picture, it's wow, this is perfect for this person and their energy. How did you know? What did you So it's just the only conclusion I can draw is that they're here, and I know they're so grateful to be energetically meeting and interacting with these people, with you guys, you guests, just as we are.
Yeah.
So
no, I think Lily definitely gave me a good luck on the pod class yesterday, because I haven't been doing as much as I wanted to, so I'm excited that I get to go play and there's sun out today.
Yay.
But I was leaving her yesterday and it just felt so good. I mean, the energy was just bursting with love and joy. I mean, it was so good. And I just was I think I even said it. I was like, oh, I'm being on a podcast, babe. And, she's like, I know. I like it.
I know.
She's a genius. She's a genius. I should follow her lead on absolutely everything because she's magnificent.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this conversation has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.